Finance, or Professor of Finance, Professor Joshua Abor, and Professor. I have to take my lens off. Sometimes I can't read with the lens. Professor Charles Komla Delali Ajasi. These are two distinguished professors in finance who have actually put together this particularly fantastic book that is titled The Economics of Banking and Finance in Africa, Development in Africa's Financial Systems. And so we're going to have a launch for this book. It is very, very rare, and I'm sure all of you can agree, to have two captains, in different sectors, especially captains of industry and captains of academia come together. And I'm sure we're going to have a very fulfilling, interaction having these two giants, together in this particular hall. We're grateful to see quite a number of distinguished personalities. We've heard them on TV, radio, we've heard about them, the work that they're doing, etc. But today we are lucky, as a result of this launch, to have them, amongst us. In due course, obviously, I will be introducing them, as we go along. We have a very short program, and as I said, some are actually watching us on Zoom. They're participating on Zoom, and then we also are live here. Now, on the program, I think obviously we had the arrivals, and then of course we have welcome and a welcome address and introduction of chair. Now, as I said, we have quite a number of distinguished personalities here, but I would introduce the chair of the event, and perhaps as we go along, we'll be mentioning the names of the distinguished personalities as well. Okay, so we have the chair of the event as Professor Ernest Aite, obviously the former Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana, and then the board chair, African Economic Research Consortium. And I'm not going to attempt to read his profile. We're not going to go from here. What I can say is that when I was employed, I remember I came with my own projector, a projector screen, and then the projector, because I thought the university rooms would not have those. They may have chalk and board and that kind of thing. So, Prof, that's one of my secrets. I came with that. And when I came, I saw all the classrooms were installed with projectors. That was amazing. And then I had enough time, so I used to go around. And I saw the development on the campuses, the laying of the fiber optics, etc. I said, wow, I wish Ghana was University of Ghana campus. So without much ado, and that tells you the stellar profile of Professor Ernest Aite. A round of applause for him. So that's the chair of our program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, MC. I take it that you are Dr. Kobe Mensah. Thank you very much. I was hoping that I'll be remembered for more things than roads and pavements. But I think they also go to make a university what it is. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to accept the role of chair for this occasion, largely for the fact that the two gentlemen whose book we are launching today and whose achievements we are celebrating also today are two remarkable individuals who I've known for a number of years. I met them first at the AERC, the African Economic Research Consortium. At the time, I was the chair of the Group C, and that's where we deal with finance and domestic resource mobilization. Most of the people who had been through AERC had come from the economics department. And the first person to break out of that was Kofi Osei from the business school. Is he around? Hi, Kofi. you know. So I'd become used to seeing Kofi Osei with the team through the 90s. And it was quite refreshing to see a group of young people come from the business school. So it was Joshua, Charles, and then Coleman. And what was, for me, a very important part of that development, not simply because they came from the business school, but they applied economic principles in a very refreshing manner. They were obviously very ambitious. They were people who were seeking to change the face of the business school and the reputation of the business school. That's something that I like very much. Um, and I've watched them over the years grow. I think Charles went to Stellenbosch, leaving, and then I don't know what happened to Coleman, but George, where's Coleman? Is he still around? Flexing Bank, yeah. So the two of them left, and then Joshua was the only one remaining in Legon. It didn't take too long for me to see how rapidly he was progressing through the system. I spent about 9 years on the appointments board at the university. So I know, in Legon, I know everybody's CV. I know, I know the good ones and the bad ones. And so from very early, I knew this boy is going to go far. So I wasn't surprised at all that he did go far and has remained there. I've also been following Charles in Stellenbosch. I've been seeing the things he's been doing. I go to Stellenbosch quite often, and I hear very good things about him. So I know that the team has progressed. Today, we are here to launch a book on the economics of banking and finance in Africa, something that is very dear to my heart. The type of research that I used to do. I'm very, very happy that there are younger people at a very high level who have taken it up and are doing probably more significant work. There's a lot more data. The techniques have improved a lot. So I do expect that with these new developments, something very significant is going to be happening. And today in Africa, the work that is done in banks is a lot different from what used to be the case in the 80s and 90s. Banking is very, very different. The world of finance has changed. The markets are different. They function with far less intrusion from governments. So things are different from what we used to write about. I'm very happy that these two gentlemen have decided to take their work a lot further than being able to mobilize other people to contribute to discussions. So what is even more refreshing for me is the fact that they found a very, very worthy publisher. When Ghanaians are publishing books, they always look for the easiest place to publish, but they didn't. They tried very hard to find a publisher that allows the rest of the world to know what is happening in Africa. It's easy to say, oh, well, international publishers are not going to publish our work, so let's find a local publisher. There's nothing wrong with using a local publisher. I have a lot of support for it. But there's also nothing wrong with letting the world know what we are doing in Africa. When you use these types of publishers, Palgrave Macmillan, it allows students in the UK, students in Europe, students in the US to get to see the type of work being done in Africa and appreciate it and know what's good and be able to learn from it. That's the advantage. At the same time, giving opportunity for our own people to learn. So Joshua and Charles, I applaud you for what you've done. I'm extremely proud of what you've achieved over these almost 20 years. I do believe that this is not the end. Looking at your ages, I'm sure there'll be many, many more books and articles coming out of you. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Prof. And the last time you were on radio, somebody said they wish you become the president of Ghana. You remember? Yeah, that was on Star Chat. And he said, well, no, that's far away. But anyway, we're still wishing that one day we'll see you on the campaign platform. Maybe I can be your consultant as a political marketing person. Thank you, Prof. We are so grateful. Thank you. So before I come to the next line, I think let me take the opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors. We have Alliance, we have Best Western Premier, we have White Lux, and then we have CSG. We are grateful for the sponsorship and making sure that this program come on stream. Thank you. Well, next we have the comment by the publisher, which is Palgrave Macmillan, but unfortunately they're not here. So they've given us access to a discount the discounted books, which I will share the flyer so that we can actually access the book at a discount. But in that place too, I would invite, please, Professor Peter Kote, so that he come and give us a version of, because he's part of the contributors. Prof, again, a very big profile, so I don't attempt to do it. He's the head of ISA, and he's a professor entrepreneur. Those of us who follow him, you know that. Prof, thank you for coming. We're grateful.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think I've been ambushed into this, but let me say a few words. Yes, I am a contributor to this book. I would say that Joshua and Charles have been very instrumental in getting this book ready. The peer pressure they applied to get some of us to join in contributing wasn't easy, but I think it's a worthy cause, and I applaud them for the hard work. Well done, Joshua and Charles. A book on finance and banking is very timely and relevant, given the dynamics the banking or the financial sector has gone through since FinSap to today, and more recently, digital finance, etc. So I think it's very timely, very useful. And also, given the reforms that we have gone through, I believe this is a book that will cut across not just our continent, but across the globe, and will help both policymakers, implementers, as well as students appreciate the contents of the book. It is very, very non-technical, and it's something that we would appreciate. I won't say too much because there is a reviewer who will tell you the details. So I will stop here, but to say congratulations to all of you and to the authors.
Thank you, Prof. We are grateful. Yes, and we come to the review of the book, and he's the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies. So those of you who are looking for master's admissions after here, you want to see him. So we have Professor Robert Daku Osei, Dean of School of Graduate Studies, University of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kobe. Admissions are closed. So unlike, well, good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Professor Corti, I wasn't ambushed. When Prof. Abor contacted me to do the review, I asked him, what date is it? And this week is crazily busy for me, but I looked at the book and what it contains, and I just asked him, what time is it? He said in the evening. I said, hallelujah, I'll be here. And so I have no intention also of telling you details in the book, Prof. Kote. I'm not telling them, otherwise they will not buy it. But I just want to express a few things about the book. Just tease some of the interesting aspects of the book that I think should get every one of us getting copies on their desk. And I would suggest you get the hard copies, not even the soft ones. Okay, I'm old school. But I think the point that Prof. Kote made is very important, given the times that we are in. The global economy we know is going through very hard times. and of course, one that has been engendered by some of the recent developments, particularly the COVID-19. Of course, the other one has to do with Russia and Ukraine, right? The usual culprits. But in truth, I think that the adverse effects of some of these shocks is still going to linger on for a while. And indeed, the extent and duration of these adverse shocks is very much dependent on the financial systems that prevail in the different countries in Africa. Okay. So, of course, it goes without saying that the reason why policymakers are all very eager to try and then mitigate some of these adverse effects has to do in part with the shocks and what the implications are, not just for the financials of these countries, but also for the banking and financial systems in these countries. So this book couldn't have been more timely. And I think it is an important resource for all stakeholders. Anybody who wants to learn anything at all about the financial systems in Africa. The book has 30 chapters. And it is actually grouped under 7 parts. The first part actually just sets the tone for the book and provides an overview of Africa's financial systems. The second part comprises 4 chapters and covers fintech, financial inclusion, and banking sector development in Africa. And of course, the last chapter in this part is also, for me, very interesting because it actually deals with fintechs. And not just fintechs, but their growth and what the implications of the growth of fintechs is for the financial services in Africa. And so I find it very interesting because remember that when fintechs were picking up, and at some point there was a lot of concern from the conventional financial system about what the implications of the fintechs were for the banking sector generally. But I think that also the experiences in respect of how resilient firms have been in the current shocks, with the current shocks in the economy, essentially tells you how important these fintechs have been. And I think some research is showing that firms that have been able to or are relatively more resilient are those firms that have been more akin to using more technology, if you like, which fintechs essentially lend themselves to. The third part of the book has 5 chapters, and that discusses central bank independence and effectiveness of monetary policy making in Africa. And even in that section as well, issues on credit information sharing and how they have complemented financial market development in Africa is also discussed. Then there is the part 4 of the book that is devoted to a discussion of structured finance, sustainable finance, and Islamic banking. And again, for me, the one that really caught my eye in this part was the Islamic banking. And it is interesting for different reasons. But essentially getting insights into the differences between Islamic banking and conventional banking in Africa, I think, is very, very interesting. And it's, of course, an area that many people, particularly non-Muslims, have not paid a lot of attention to. And so, but of course, Islamic banking is increasingly becoming important in Africa, and for sure, it is not going anywhere. Okay? So I think the book does an excellent job in presenting Islamic banking in very non-technical language for the reader. In the fifth part of the book, there are 4 chapters, and the 4 chapters discuss causes, consequences, and effects of banking crisis in Africa, as well as the implication of the global banking for Africa. Again, given the recent banking sector reforms, particularly for those of us here in Ghana, there is no doubt that one would want to read some of these issues that have been discussed in this part of the book. And then there is a part 6, which has 5 chapters, and these 5 chapters discuss banking regulation and supervision. Of course, one of the interesting discussions that I find in the chapter particularly is how country-level governance structures affect the relationship between financial sector transparency, regulations, and indeed banking stability in Africa. And there is also a chapter that is devoted to discussing some of the challenges that confront the adoption of supervisory and regulatory technology in Africa. In the part 8, no, that's the part 7, sorry. There are 8 chapters in part 7. And issues relating to non-bank financial markets are discussed, including an overview of the sustainability, growth, and impact of microfinancial institutions in Africa. And the final chapter, which is part of this section of the book, discusses how African governments have responded to pandemics generally, with an emphasis on the COVID-19 pandemic and what it actually have meant and will mean for African financial systems. The book talks about how the COVID-19 resulted in a debt-financed expansionary fiscal policy, which largely has been argued to be the reason for the debt crisis that, well, let's not call it a debt crisis. Okay? Let's just say the debt challenges that we currently are confronted with. You don't want to get yourself into any kind of trouble. Okay. But of course, we use the COVID as the excuse. We use the COVID as the excuse for the debt challenges that we have, because it's the COVID which resulted in the debt finance fiscal expansion that occurred. Others may suggest there are other reasons which drove the physicals in the direction that it did, so that we find ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves in. One solution that is, of course, being discussed currently in respect of the debt challenges is haircut, right? I thought it was only our barbers who gave haircuts. Now, governments are giving haircuts, or at least in Ghana. But if it does happen, we don't know whether it will happen, right? If it does happen, it will have implications for the financial sector. And somehow, the book offers some suggestions on how to minimize the effect on the financial system in Africa. Okay. So this is a 2-volume book with 30 chapters, 30 emphasis, 30 chapters. And I attempted to count the number of authors in total. 84, my count. 84. That's massive. And over the weekend when I was trying to prepare for this review, I was searching around for books which have 84 authors, and I'm still searching. I'm not saying there isn't any. I've said I'm still searching, okay? But it's 84 authors who are academics and also people in industry, okay? And so it does blend academic excellence with extensive practical experience. I think that I have no doubt in my mind that this is one of the most comprehensive books in contemporary times on the nexus between banking, finance, and economic development in Africa. I certainly will recommend this book to all of us here, all of us listening online. I certainly, apart from, I hope you are not coming for the copies you gave me, but I certainly would want to get an additional copy so that I can give to, or just in case my students borrow it and they don't return it, I will still have one somewhere to rely on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. And as Professor said was speaking, my mind was about on the finance students. Certainly, you're going to have question 1 and 2 coming from that book. So, so if you're a finance student, make sure that you grab a copy. Yeah, earlier I said that obviously we have 2 captains, captains of industry and then captains of academia meeting. And I introduced one set of the captains, the lead of the academia captains. So maybe I have to introduce the industry, the lead of the industry captains. We have Mr. Frank Edu, the former CEO of Bank. Please, a round of applause. Say thank you so much. And I remember the beautiful library that you gave us. You know, when you come to the business school, I don't know how many of you have come to the business school, the undergraduate library. You will see Bank corner. Lovely. You can have your coffee there whilst you learn, or maybe Milo or something. Beautiful place there. We are so grateful for that edifice. Thank you so much. Now we have the comments by the technology. I'm using my phone, so I have to be flipping up and down. So don't forget, we said it's a hybrid, so we acknowledge those on Zoom. Thank you for joining us. We know that you are there and you are participating fully. We are grateful to have you. We have comments by editors, and that will be led by Professor Joshua Abor. I'm not sure whether we're going to have a Professor Charles IDC on it, but yeah. So Professor Joshua Abor, a round of applause for Prof to come and give us a brief comment on the huge task of editing this 84-member book Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kobe. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ernest Aite, special guest of honor, Mr. Frank Edu, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone. Let me thank all of you for coming. I know people are busy watching soccer. It's a weekday, and around this time you want to get home and rest, but you've made time to be here. Thank you very much. And one will ask why an edited book? Well, like Prof. Aite rightly said, yes, I joined the business school in 2003. That was 3rd February 2003, and Professor Kofinti was dean then. He got some of us into the school. And then Professor Kofiose encouraged us to join the ARC network. And we did. So he provided some mentoring at the school level, and we'll go to ARC. ARC is a very big platform, and we met this giant in economics who took us on his wings and really mentored us to get where we are today. So please, help me acknowledge Professor Sam and Professor Aite. Well, we've been very active publishing articles, and when you get paper published in an article, you're excited. Some of you will understand. But in academia, if you get a paper published in a good journal, come on. It's more than winning lottery. And we've done that over and over again. Yesterday, I was having a WhatsApp chat with a friend, a colleague, former colleague at the business school. We completed first degree together, Lord Pedersen. And then he asked, so how many papers do you have now? I said, over 100 articles, but I've stopped counting. And he said, really? And he was impressed that I said, I've stopped counting. I think the articles, we've done them over and over again. And we still do articles we publish with our students, especially our PhD students, publish with other colleagues. But I've come to realize that practitioners don't go to look for the journals we're publishing. They don't read the journal. They don't read the articles we're publishing. Yeah. Again, learning from Prof. Saite has done a number of books and edited books. And I thought this is something that practitioners will find more relevant. So if you put all the articles together in a book and they pick, at least at home they can relax and read. And by that we can inform policy. So one motivation is really to inform policy on some of the work we do. I mean, we do policy relevant research. And so we can have these published in books and make them available. Another motivation is make materials available to our students. Now, GTech is asking for local content. Now, if you are taking a program through the process of accreditation, they will ask for references or books published by local publishers, okay, that have local relevance or African relevance. And that's also very important. I remember recently we had accreditation. Now they are called GTech, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, visiting to accredit our programs. And almost all the local books were books that were done in the department with other colleagues. And so I thought it's something that we can continue to do. Another interesting point I can make with respect to motivation is creating opportunities for my mentees, PhD students, to collaborate with experienced scholars. And you have no idea the excitement in a PhD student who is publishing with Professor Sakot, who is publishing with Professor Jasper, who is publishing with a practitioner like Maxwell Kokafai. One PhD student who I got in touch with, the first deputy governor, to do a paper on RegTech and SupTech, regulatory technology and supervisory technology. I was so excited. And he said, when the reviewers' comment came and they had to address, he had to visit Maxwell at home, and then they addressed the comment. He was excited. I don't know Maxwell's house. But he went to the first deputy governor's house. And he said, Prof, I'd applied to Bank of Ghana. I'm not kidding. I didn't promise him that Maxwell would get him a job. But that relationship alone, you don't know what will come out of that. So I think these books, edited books, create that kind of opportunities for young scholars to be mentored by experience. Some of them they've never met them. At least they've only read the articles or read their books, but they get to work with them, and I think that is very huge motivation. I've actually done a number of books. The first I did was Financial Market and Institutions. That was published by DigiBooks. And I met DigiBooks. DigiBooks is a local publisher. This book is based on a course I did at the MBA, and I was taught by Professor Seh here at the MBA level. And I took a course in his class called Analysis of Financial Markets. So that book was published by DigiBooks, and I met DigiBooks because I served on a committee that Prof put together when he was VC. He championed a project in the university called the Readers Project, and I was one of the editors. So we're encouraging departments to write these edited books. The readers are like edited books. So his motivation for doing that was to get colleagues to learn to work together. In departments, people fight. They're always fighting. But he thought it was an opportunity to bring colleagues together to work and then ensure cohesion and collegiality. And DigiBook happened to be one of the publishers, so that's how I met DigiBooks. And some of the books he did on the Readers Project were fantastic. And Prof mentioned that he's not saying local publishers are not good. In fact, they are very good. But he's talking about if you want to get your books to the global stage, then you can think of international publishers as well. So that book was in 2016. I did the first edition, and we launched this at Conference Center. Some of you were there. It was a huge success. And I did the second edition in 2018. Then in 2017, I did a book on entrepreneurial finance for medium, small-scale enterprise. I mean, Prof has really been has made a huge impact in my academic career. This book is actually based on my PhD work. My PhD was on capital structure and financing of SMEs, and I focused on Ghana and South Africa. So when I came back, I introduced a program called MSc Development Finance, and finance for small enterprise development was one of the courses which I introduced. And it basically looks at how we call that institutional finance, how SMEs can access various sources of finance. But also more importantly, is how they can manage the finance. Most of the time we are thinking of how we can get finances for them, but we are not focused on how they manage the finance. Okay, so we call that managerial finance or financing for decision making. So institutional finance and financing for decision making are very, very important as far as SME financing or entrepreneurial finance is concerned. And my interest in entrepreneurial finance or SME finance was actually based on the work of Prof. I was the first to publish in SME finance, informal finance in Ghana. And I started quoting him when I hadn't met him. So when I met him at ARC and they introduced that as Prof. I said, okay, so that's the man I've been quoting all along. In my inaugural, I acknowledged the work he had done and the fact that my work on entrepreneurial finance is based on what he's done. My inaugural lecture was on financing private sector development, how we can drive growth in the real sector. And it was actually largely based on this book. Then in 2019, so this book on entrepreneurial finance was published by Palgrave. Then in 2019, I did a book with 4 other colleagues called Money and Banking in Africa. And this book was published by Springer. This book, interestingly, had three authors or co-authors, I'll call them trailblazers. One is Professor Vera Fiado, who is the first female professor in finance in Ghana. Shall we acknowledge? The other is Professor Eliklimi Agboloyo. Oh, Vera, they didn't see you. Please let them see you. The other is Professor Eliklimi Komlan Agboloyo. Is he here? Okay, so Professor Agboloyo. Okay, yes, here. Okay. Professor Agboloyo is the first PhD holder in finance produced in Ghana. First person to graduate on a PhD program in Ghana. And the third is Professor Mohamed Amidu. Is he here? First professor of accounting. Full professor of accounting in Ghana. Now, anytime we say first in business school, invariably is Ghana. For Vera and Ellie, they happen to be my former students. Ellie, my first ever PhD student. So, Prof, your grand mentees are professors. The fifth book is called Contemporary Issues in Management Development, published by Adonis Abe in the UK. When I was dean, I encouraged my colleagues to do a reader at the school level. So what Prof did was readers at departmental level. But I thought, look, we've done that, so all departments have at least a reader. So I said, as a school, let's do one reader for the entire school, which we did. And that was led by Professor Kofi Ose. Prof, thank you very much. So I was one of the authors of that book. And that was in 2017. This book on the economics of banking in Africa, again, inspired by the need to inform policy, contribute to literature and make material available to our students, and also create opportunities for our PhD students and mentees. But I got an invite to teach a course on money and banking, issues in money and banking at Stellenbosch. So when I was putting the course outline together, Charles had taught that course previously, so I asked for his course outline as well. So I compared, and I said, Charles, we can do a book out of this outline. So I started contacting colleagues, sent a mail to provide Prof. Corte. Prof. Corte, and I was actually recovering from my days in retreat. Those of you who are very close to understand what I'm talking about. And that was also around COVID. So you were home, and I thought, look, I could put something together. And Peter was all over the place consulting, and then he would send me work to do, then he would pay me. I said, hey, this man. He sent me something on fintech to review. And I got so excited about it. I said that we can actually contribute a chapter to that book on fintech. So the chapter on fintech, I did that with Prof. Corte and Ahmad. Where's Ahmad again? Lagbra. Ahmad at Lagbra. And so we got a number of other collaborators who came on board. And so many authors, but like I said, if you have a chapter contributed by 3 or 4 people, of course, you have many authors, but 4 people working together. The challenge for us as authors is that coordination is very difficult. Now, many editors will want 1 or 2 people. It makes their life very easy. But I have a plan. The plan is that I want my PhD students to work with these guys. They don't just, if Prof. Corte contributes a chapter and it's published, I'm not as excited as if I got a PhD student, work with him to get that chapter out. And so that's why we have many of such authors working together. So the book is actually made up of contributions from scholars and practitioners in finance and economics. It is made up of chapters based on both desk and empirical research on banking and finance in Africa. Banking and financial markets really play a significant role in the growth of various economies. Although a number of edited handbooks on banking and finance exist, they mainly focus on Europe, America, and Asia. Actually, when I was scouting to check what exists, and for the publishers, you need to submit a proposal, motivate why they have to publish a book. And getting it accepted it's quite difficult. That's why many people will look for a lookup. Some of the lookup publishers are not even recognized. They get a printer and then it's published and they have a book. But an international publisher will ask for a proposal. It will go through peer review, and you need to motivate it. What's the gap you intend filling? So I had to scout to check handbooks or edited books on banking and finance. Those I found were mainly those published by Oxford Press, but it's a book based on Europe, or Springer or Palgrave, but it's a book based on the Asian market and all of that. So this was really handy. We know that banks and financial markets in Africa are confronted with different challenges, and therefore they present a unique case to understand Africa's financial systems. A number of African countries have actually experienced banking crisis, and it was important to examine these issues as well as regulatory regimes required to address them. The book provides a comprehensive resource on banking and finance for students, scholars, and researchers, as well as policymakers, bankers, and financial market practitioners. We examine the characteristics and developments in Africa's financial systems, including monetary policy, structured finance, sustainable finance and banking, fintech, regtech, subtech, inclusive finance, the role of regulation in dealing with the banking crisis, and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Africa's financial systems and how to reform the post-COVID-19 financial systems. I want to really appreciate my family for the support in doing this. I'm one person, I work at dawn. I'm a dawn person, and this is something that has been with me right from secondary school. If I do my 2 hours very effectively at dawn, I can come in full in the lecture room and I'm fine. So I don't play with work at dawn. I'm very effective during that time. So, and family, you're always up working. Sometimes it's so unpleasant. But I'm very grateful to my wife, Pat, for the support. For those of us in academia, there are lots of things we do that are not motivated by money. The intrinsic value, most of the time, is what really moves us. So you see a book, you're excited. There's no money in this. The publishers control the sale. But if your family will support you to do this, they'll give you a peace of mind to do it. I really appreciate this very much. I want to also appreciate my co-author, Charles, for agreeing to come on board and for providing all the support to get this book out. I want to acknowledge and appreciate all the contributing authors. So please, authors, shall we be on our feet? And please, let's acknowledge all the authors, all the contributing authors. Let's see you. Good, 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 good. Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. So you see, I've acknowledged you here. So when I'm sending the email reminders, don't say, I call you Hajin. You say, me Hajin to do. They say, menda, me de be a me Hajin. They wake up at dawn, they see a mail, a reminder. Is the chapter ready? Is the review ready? All right. I also want to acknowledge all the banks that provided support. EcoBank, are they here? Is there a rep from EcoBank? Okay, thank you very much. GCB Bank, are they here? ADB, Stanbic, ADB, are they here? Oh, ADB. Hey, board member. Stanbic Bank, are they here? Car Bank. Okay, Carl, if you're not here, Frank will pick their book. I have books for each of the banks. UMB, are they here? UMB. All right, thank you very much. Is that Brenda? Thank you, Brenda. And GT Bank. Nana, thank you very much. Thank you. We also want to appreciate Ellie Duncan and Raya Raju of Palgrave for all the support you provided during the editing of this book. We also want to appreciate Professor Ernest Aite, Chair of ARC, and Professor Njuguna Indugu, former Executive Director of ARC, and the current Kenya's Finance Minister. Thank you very much, and they actually endorse the book, as well as Professor Charles Amuyate, Senior Economist at the IMF. Thank you very much. We also want to appreciate Alliance Life Insurance, Best Western Premier Hotel, Woody Locks, UGBS Malcolm's team for all the support for this launch. So before I sit down, let me just give you some hints on ongoing projects. So I edited a book on sustainable and responsible investment, and that will be published by Edward Elgar in London. And this book has the support of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, as well as Intermarket, and then Dr. Alice Apabli of the Business School. There's also an edited book with Professor Amin Karimu on the economics of oil and gas in emerging and developing economies. Then another, and this is by Routledge. We expect that to be published next year. It's done, we submitted everything. And then there's another one on sustainability management of oil and gas in emerging and developing countries with support from Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors as well as Petrosol. Actually, these two books were originally designed as one big book, just like this one. And then Routledge got back and said, no, we need to break the book into two. So this also, Palgrave said the book was too big, so they had to create 2 volumes. So that's why I have 2 volumes. Then there's another one on perspectives of banking, of development banks in Africa by Palgrave, which is currently, we've commissioned the chapters and people are writing. But there's one I've done, or I'm doing, which is on the changing role of national development banks in Africa. And this has the support of Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Exim Bank. And hopefully next year, latter part of next year, this will be published. And I hope to bring all of you back in 2024, first quarter, to launch this. Thank you very much for all the support. And I appreciate you for the time. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Abor, for the inspiration that you give us. Most of my colleagues are here. I may say the junior ones, we have no excuse. When the professors are waking up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and we have to pump up. I will give you a little bit of insight what's going through my head. When those of you have been MCs before, when you're MC, especially MCing a program of big people, it is difficult to do acknowledgement. So I do not want to be biased, because for those from Legon, I can mention all of them, their names. But those from industry, it is very difficult. I know some of them. So I try as much as possible, deliberately, not to mention names. So that's why I'm not introducing people apart from those on the program. But permit me, please, to acknowledge my former dean, Professor Kofi Osei, please. So, and then my current dean, of course, my other former dean has been speaking. So, Professor Joshua Abor, under whom I served, and I can tell you, I'm always proud, for serving under him. And I'm also serving under another fantastic one, pump-up dean, Professor, Baole. Professor Baole, another pump-up dean. We hang out on social media, Twitter. I'm grateful. But I'm not mentioning my other colleagues because I will be biased. I have to then mention industry. So other colleagues from business school, thank you. And then other colleagues, from industry, thank you. All right, so let me go to the next item. We have official launch of the book by our special guest of honor. And I said earlier, he's the lead of the captains of industry, Mr. Frank Edu, former CEO of Cowbank. A round of applause. So he will do the launch. He will do the presentation to the book sponsors as well, and then, of course, the auction. Thank you so much, sir. I'm so grateful to see you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I left Cowbank 31st December 2019, and I still can't get anybody to introduce me as Mr. Frank Edu, unemployed. They always have to say Mr. Frank Edu, former MD of Cowbank. Anyway, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, professors, let me say a big thank you to Professor Joshua Abor for inviting me to be the special guest of honor at the launch of this rather magnificent, instructive book. And I actually do have a confession to make, because sitting there and having everybody being referred to as professor, and I was wishing that I was also a professor. But I'm not a professor, but I believe that I'm an academic. I'm an academic. And indeed, I am an academic, and I enjoy teaching. I started off my career as a teaching assistant, for those of you who do not know, in the geography department of the University of Ghana in 1984. And as much as I try not to say it, I always have to say it, that the former dean of the College of Humanities, Professor Ajay Mensah, was my student. It is my one claim to fame on the University of Ghana campus. I also have to say that Professor Ayete was my senior. And we were in the same dormitory after he had transitioned from a school called Achimota to a better school called Pusek. Please don't hold me down. It's only a joke. It's only a joke, Prof. My other confession is I have not been able to read either volume of this book. But that should not be a worry, for the works captured in the book, the economics of banking and finance in Africa, are not to be read as if one was reading a work of fiction or indeed a textbook. As far as I'm concerned, the 2 volumes constitute a compendium. They reflect a detailed compilation of information on economics, banking, and finance, spanning eras, institutions, products, developments, fintechs, etc. And the beauty of it is that the articles are put together, I'm told. Actually, I started trying to count, and I said I should just ask Professor Abor. But Professor Osei, I think, made it clear it's approximately 84 or so experts. And these are very well-researched articles. And Prof, please, not all the articles are simple. I didn't read, but I scanned through the book. I mean, some of these articles have mathematical formulae that, for the faint-hearted like me, are daunting. Remember, my first degree, I did ancient history and English and geography. So as I was going through the book, I saw some of the formulae, I said, no, so please. And my task is not to review the book. That has been done expertly by Professor Darko, so I will leave that there. But I can tell you, though, with absolute certainty and without any equivocation, that for any financial institution, whether for learning, teaching, practice, this is a book that you must have. if you're a budding or practicing finance person, you must have this book. Business schools must have this book. I'm going to be a little naughty. Under current circumstances, definitely the Minister of Finance must have this book. Definitely. With haircuts and no haircuts and motorways and whatever. Definitely the Minister of Finance must have copies of this book. With these few words, let me once again thank Prof. Abor and his colleagues for the honor and done me to be the one who declared that this book, this very significant book, Economics of Banking and Finance in Africa. Are you going to give me a book to? The two are one. The two shall be one. So bring yes, please. You're not married. Are you married? The two shall be one. So let me once again thank Prof. Abor and his colleagues for the honor done me and proudly declare that this book, The Economics of Banking and Finance in Africa, Development in Africa's Financial Systems, is truly and duly launched. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think Prof has already acknowledged the banks, the sponsoring banks of the book project, but I need to, having launched the book, let me mention their names again. EcoBank Ghana, GCB Bank, ADB Bank Ghana, Cal Bank, Universal Merchant Bank, and Guarantee Trust Bank. Prior to this evening, also, a very fine gentleman, very stylish lawyer called Kimathi Kwenye here, had paid the handsome sum of €500 for the book. They say that the reward for teachers is in heaven. And clearly, it's manifesting itself for the number of times that lecturers go on strike asking for more money. Clearly, the government thinks that your reward should be in heaven. And so Prof and his colleagues, having written this book, are not really going to make any money from the book. Paragraph is going to make all the money. They've been kind enough to give Prof just a few copies to auction to cover their costs. How many women would allow their husbands to wake up at dawn and go and tap away at some laptop as opposed to cuddling them at 4 a.m.? For those of you who did biology, we all know what happens to men at dawn. And you end up wasting it writing a book. So let us assuage the pain of the wives and the hard work of the professors and their collaborators who put this book together by supporting them in buying the few copies that Pargrave has given to them. On Amazon, it was going for, I believe it's €250. But at €250, the number of copies that we have here, it will not cover anything, the expense, the costs, the inconvenience, etc. So I think Kimathi has set, I was going to start at 10,000 CDs. But then again, the place is full of lecturers. So, Josh, what should we do? We will start at 7,000 CDs. And let me do this. For accepting to be the special guest of honor, which for me is to my benefit, because I get a chance to come out of my unemployed status and be seen. Prof gave me a copy. Okay. But I think that he's done me a great honor by allowing me to launch the book. So I'm going to buy another copy. So I'm going to buy a copy at 7,000 CDs, which I will donate to who? Anyway, you see, the way the town is hot, if you don't have a sense of humor, you end up in hospital and then you can't afford the medicine. So, Prof, you're the only one in the suit here. So you have to buy the first. I've bought this one. No, this one I've bought. This is I will buy this. The one that was used to launch is a special one. Where is it? I can't see you. There are two Jinapos. Which one? My friend, both of you are my friends. Please come and sit here. Come and take my seat, please. Come and take my seat. Some of the budget money, you give us some today. Sit here. John, please, welcome. How much are you giving us? I call you. We have done 2,000 euro, 14,000, 28,000 cedis on my pension.
I thought I heard you mention 7,000.
So you heard me. I'm only trying to behave like a politician.
I'll do what you are doing.
You are doing 7. Oh, but you take extra. Give us 10,000. 10,000. Thank you very much. Get. John, here. Please bring Professor's own. Prof, so the 10,000 has passed you by. So how much will you give us? I'm unemployed. I beg you. God bless you. 5,000 CDs. This light here, I can't see properly. It's in my eyes. Okay. So, I can't see all this. Okay. How much are you giving us? 7,000. Thank you very much. And the name is? Bill Gates. Prof, don't you think you should buy one for the banking college? Okay. But the business school, you can't buy one. You can't buy only one. How many should I give you? How many should I give you? 2 sets, please. You are paying how much? 7,000. God bless you. You know, when you are in banking, there's something you learn about debt recovery. When somebody owes you 10 million cedis and comes and says, take 10,000, you take it. You don't say it's too small. Because when you take it, the debt has gone down by 10,000. And then you have 10,000, then you apply time value of money to it. You go and invest it. But you don't invest in government bonds. You'll be dead restructured. Look, this thing we have to joke with it, otherwise we'll die. Because that money is not coming back. Any more takers, please? Yes, sir. How much are you giving us, sir? I'm bringing the mic. Don't know. Oh, it's you. Bra. You're not wearing shoes. Come. You say shit. This man runs the first private equity fund in Ghana. He is a very, very bold man. I think when you started it, you're like 30-something years old. He sold, he convinced his wife, and they sold all their assets and built up some capital, set up a PE fund, and started investing in companies in Ghana. And he's done very, very well with it. I think that one of you've written enough books. One of your students should actually talk to him and write a book on his journey. I think it's, yeah?
Thank you. Prof from January is going to be the board chairman of Oasis Capital.
Oh, very good.
Right.
Very good. So
and,
how much are you giving him?
And he was my next door colleague at the Gentleman's Hall. Yeah, of the only university in Ghana.
Where they drink beer a lot in the
well,
so
I take
no.
for 10K.
You have to tell me how much you give.
10K.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wendy, thank you. Thank you. Any more takers? Is somebody noting the amount? Because there's a professor of accounting here, you know. But as we go, let me tell you a story about accounting. So, in 87 or 88, the business school then, it was called School of Administration. And I think Professor Nkrumah was the boss. And we managed to bring, at the time, computers had started coming out. So when I was doing my first degree, there was one mainframe in the university. It was in a room as big as one mainframe. And then when they finish, they print some cards. Then you take it to the ISA building. And that is where the reader was. This is 1981, 82. Come fast forward to 87. Now there were desktops. And we managed to convince the agents for Hewlett Packard, name them. And they brought these machines to campus for the School of Admission Business Week. And they made me a member of the committee as a student. So I had a moment of epiphany, and I said, but those days there was intermittent power cuts. And I said, but I think we should rent a generator just for the day. I won't mention the professor's name. He became a professor later on, but he was a lecturer then. He was an accountant. And he was in charge of the committee. So no. You know, it will cost money. We have to go and pass entries. So I said, listen. And I'm talking to my professor, so my lecturer, so I have to be careful. Professor Akufio says he was also my lecturer. I've been trying to avoid his gaze, but so the man said, no, but I have to pass entries. Boss, this thing is practical. The machines have to be switched on. What happens if the power goes off? He says the power won't go off. So I called some of my colleagues. I said, this is a lost cause. And we made contributions, went to Medina, and went and rented some 2 or 3 stroke generators. Lo and behold, demonstration time, boom, power cut. So that is my every time I think of an accountant, that is what I think of first. He says he has to pass entries before he can give us, I don't know, 500 seats or something like that. Who is next, please? Prof. Who? Prof. Josh. Okay. But we need names. So we should write Abor. Your siblings have taken one for 7,000. Your father was monogamous. And they said it was Abor. So we should write Abor. Okay, thank you very much. How many have we sold? Yes, sir. 5,000. Your name, sir? Bamidele. Is that a Nigerian name? Oh, but Nigeria can't give us 5,000. Ah! You know, we were just talking about Vera being the first female professor in the school, in the business school. And Professor Aite said, we haven't tried. We should have happened a long time ago. But I see so far, Vera, when I look around, there are a lot of women here. Only the men have put up their hands and paid money. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about hair. Look at this one. Fine ladies. They're all, huh? They're what? And so you're one part of them. You too. Madam, give us some money. You have come. Madam, how much will you give us? Thank you very much. So Professor Vera has taken one for 5,000. I want another woman to contribute. Should I come? Oh, you mind me? I shouldn't come. No. Oh. This is the first time a woman has rejected me. First time a woman has rejected my advances. Anyway, what is that? Kroma Eshi. No, Kroma Eshi. How many left? 6. Yes, sir. Should I come there? I can know the voice. Please come. Opozuhine. I've mentioned your name, but you used to run a company which was making a lot of money. I should bring the book myself. Well, if I come, you pay more, you pay less. George. How much? No, how much are you giving? Oh, let me make my 7. When you say that, I can't say it. 5,000. George Ofosini, former CEO of Bond Financial Services. Still CEO? Oh no, they sacked him. Didn't they sack you? You see, me, I was sacked. So, Professor Kote. Professor Kote, thank you very much. How much are you giving? 5,000, Prof. The show of support from your colleagues is phenomenal. Exceptional. I don't see any more hands. So we should go home. Let me show. But are you a businessman? You know, but when you were introduced, I nearly told Prof that this is one professor who looks like a businessman from Kumasi. I think so. I think so. With the locks. So you have already sponsored. Thank you very much. Bring the book. You have to give one to. You have to take it to the police academy. You give us how much? 10,000. Wait, do you know? Have they told you that you look like Charles Dubois?
I look like you.
No, but you. Mhm. But he cannot sit in the back. Bagwe, I can't see the face, but I think I can see you. You are in your trademark blazer without a tie in a white shirt. Is that you? Bagwe, up there. His rep. Okay. So where's the rep? Please come forward. Thank you very much. Our regards to Toby. Prof. Zebo Texan. So you're also taking pay 5,000. Thank you very much. But that's why you have some in reserve. I thought that was all that you had. There's more in reserve. But so they've taken that away. So we can. Any more, please? You don't have to give me 5,000. Say, I like the way you are purposefully walking towards me. And I like the boldness of your color. Please come up, please come up. How much are you going to give? Your name, please.
My name is David. David Waku. Prof is my very old friend.
Oh, very good. You are in business or in academia? You see, I like your answer, you see. You see these gentlemen here. They are in academia. Their reward is in heaven. And yet,
So I want some here.
they were able to give us 5,000 CDs each. You are in academia and you are in business. You have to double it. Hey! I said, give me a hug, give me a hug. Thank you very much. Hey, issue a receipt. This one is not, you see the difference? You see the difference? Huh? Oh, madam, I thought you were coming up here. You are sitting now. Very good. Your name, please. Before you sit down, let me do it. Otherwise, I'll forget. I'll bring it myself. Don't worry. Madam, your name, please.
I'm Nana Chan Obiadia, Deputy CEO, Ghana Exim Bank.
Thank you very much, madam. You are buying for Exim Bank of yourself. Yourself. But Exim Bank to us. Exim Bank, who's the CEO? I know your chairman. So you buy for Exim Bank. Did you give you one for Exim Bank? No. Give you one for Exim Bank. This one is for yourself. Please bring one. Exim Bank, 10,000. Yeah. Thank you very much. Right, quick. Yeah, that's why. Has any of you been to a funeral where a politician is. I went to a funeral. By the time I had paid about 500 cedis, one politician had paid 3,000. Another one had paid 5,000. This was in my village. Then somebody said, oh, he said, what about? Oh, no, you cover my 50 cedis. You know, and I heard them. Honorable, honorable, then they were honorable, thousand. That's the difference. Sometimes I wonder where they get their money from. And they go for a funeral every weekend. Any more? We have 3. How many left? 3. Okay. Kitwe bien sir. Why? Baby, you do it. What on chinkra by a befo? Oh, nobody. There are people who are forcibly reading notes in the dark. No, but accounting better by all means. Accounting has to buy. Whether you want to pass entries or not. How much are you giving us? 3,000. God bless you. We'll take it. It should be a female. A female. The way they have made their face, I'm afraid. David. You know, the way they have, when I look inside, when I look at their face, and then they'll, this one like this. Hi. Madam, you look at me again. Oh, you are waving. Should I come? Should we come? Oh. You have more. Who is Prisla? Prisla. Auntie Prisla. See a professor, lecturer. Which department? Prisla, I just want to know who you are. You don't have to buy. Oh. On the tone channel. Can I come and shake your hand? Let me shake your hand. Maybe. You have put your hand in your handbag. Nice to meet you. What's your full name? That's a powerful name. Where am I? Bring two. Super black and half blue. If they are. Try. 1,000. 3,000. 2,000. We want to know your name. I like your handbag. Kate Spade. I can guess the price. You know. Okay, so let's talk. How much will you give us?
My name is Frida.
Frida, how much will you give us? God bless you, Frida. Very good. You're going to give me cash. How much? 1,000. Please. Where do you work? Ah, okay. And the name is? Very good. Thank you very much. 1,000. And you are giving us how much, sir? Very good. The name? Oh. Very powerful. There as well. How many do you have left? And then 2 here. You bank for them. Yes, 7. Should be 7, right? Yeah. Yes, finally. I'll bring it myself. But did you call your bank manager? You sent WhatsApp, and they approved the line of credit. For how much? Oh, very good. The name is? No, I've given already, so write it down. Jane, thank you. Huh? I'm buying one, oh, so this is mine. Hmm? Who wants 2 sets? Okay, take these 2. But have you got 7 there? That's 7. Okay, so there's 1 left. So this is mine. Okay. No, I think that, Prof, I think you are truly loved. And I think that made my job very, very easy. I possess no sales skills, but I think the love that your colleagues and the people gathered here have for you, and the works that you have produced, has made this successful. You see, Adepa Netone, to wait, she can't pay the day. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
A very big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Edu. Amazing. I'm sure very soon we'll start discuss on the GGBS platform that will create another course, MSc Auction Management. And I'm sure, if you had done that course, you get an A. Amazing. A round of applause again. Or you'll be teaching. Yeah, you'll be a course lead. Thank you so much. We are so grateful, sir, for doing us the honors and making sure that we get the sales done. We are very, very grateful. Thank you. All right. Again, we shouldn't forget this is a hybrid program. We acknowledge those who are online, fully participating. And thank you.
I was almost remiss in my actions. We would like to make the presentations to the banks so that they publicly acknowledge. So I'm not sure all the banks are represented, but those who are, when I call you, please come and collect. EcoBank Ghana. Thank you very much. Your name?
Godwin Yankee.
Department? Head of Personal Banking, Consumer Banking.
Very much, God.
GCB. Stanbic. ADB. Prof. And Cowbank. There's nobody here. UMB. Guarantee Trust Bank. We'll do that later.
Thank you so much, sir. We are very grateful for that. Thank you. And all the banks, we are so grateful for the support. And let me also remind you that we are supported by Allianz, Best Western Premier, Wiley Lux, CSG. These are our sponsors. We are very grateful, for your support. Next would be a vote of thanks to be delivered by our own one and only Professor Fyodor. A round of applause. It's no mean feat to be the first professor in finance, associate professor in finance. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. On this August occasion, I feel quite privileged to be the one to give the vote of thanks. More especially because it's an opportunity to thank very important people and also the chance to be in the midst of them. In fact, it says, show me your friends and I'll show you. So when you get to be in the midst of such people, you know that you could learn to fly high because whenever you see them, then you aspire to go higher. So yes, I also joined AERC somewhere in 2008, and I used to remember Prof. Aite, when we did the first presentation, he goes like, yes, so after all the figures, what's the story? And at that time, Charlie, I'm pouring the figures, but I don't know the story to go with it. So I poured and said, so what is the story? I'm like, why is this one trying to stress my life? But I think as the years have gone by and I've learned to tell the story, one of my current PA that I'm leading said, Prof, now after understanding the story, when I finish presenting, people don't ask me questions because they know what I'm talking about. So thank you, Prof. Aite. And on that note, I start by thanking God for making it possible for us to be here. And it's only by His grace. Many couldn't make it, but He made it possible. And then, of course, Prof. Aite, I started with you. Thank you so much once more for sharing. And I have to say that it's interesting. Most of the time, whenever there's a big occasion, you always find him showing up. So every time I happen to be in that space, and I know it's a big occasion today when he's here, then I say more grace. And so thank you for taking time to be with us today. We are very grateful. Also to Mr. Frank Edu, I remember when we had to put the library place together, I came to your office with Prof. Abor, so I remember, and then had to be chasing for the money. But thank you today also for joining. Okay, so for Prof. Roberto say, thank you so much for giving us the review. You gave some insights also to help people who would want to take a look at the book, and also more of a teaser to want to get the book. Yes, we have the organizing team, Marcoms, and then more importantly as well, those who sponsored the book, because the book wouldn't have been possible and this whole ceremony wouldn't be here today if not for those who actually sponsored the book. And then after the book itself, in terms of the projects had been sponsored, we're also very grateful. So for sponsoring the book, that's when we have the banks who were duly acknowledged by Mr. Frank Edu. So that's EcoBank, we have GCB Bank, we have Stanbic, ADB Bank, CalBank, UMB, and Guarantee Trust. So thank you very much for sponsoring us to be able to put the book together, and for making the opportunity also available to us to launch. So the sponsors of our launch, Allianz Life Insurance, Best Western Premier, Premier Hotel, Weedy Locks, and CSG, we are so grateful. But more importantly as well, the last bit, and not the least, goes to everyone who made it a point to be here today. We are grateful. In fact, we could have rented the place, had the sponsors, but without the human beings, it wouldn't have been a successful ceremony. And so for that, we are very grateful, and we hope that the next time we do call on you, as Prof has indicated that there will be several other lunches most likely, we believe that you will join us and make it also a successful one. Thank you very much, and enjoy your journey home. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fiado. We're so grateful for that. Uh, before I come to the last item, please, we have shared the discount flyer on the top right-hand corner, where the red, lettering is. We have a special discount code. So when you go to the link.springer.com, you can then apply the discount code, which is GJ34PBC1QU0VLV. It's valid till 28th of December this year. 28th of December this year. So you can share with your colleagues, you can share with your friends, you can share with your children. If you have, children at the business school, you can share with everybody who wants to have a copy. It's a discounted, copies, 20% off that link. So when you go onto that link, link.springer.com, then you can apply that particular discount. All right, thank you. So we come to the end of the event. We would call on our distinguished chair, Professor Ernest Aite, please, to give his closing remarks. A round of applause, please, Professor Aite. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kobe. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of what I thought was a very good program, very well structured. The special guest of honor showed us a side that I didn't know. I've known him for many years. I didn't know that he had this amount of humor in him. And with that humor, he was able to coerce all of us to buy, forcing professors to be spending thousands of, What he did was to make the professors compete with the bankers. The professor didn't want to be outdone by the bankers. It forced the bankers also to raise their level. But as he said at the end, he can't pay it. So we will all go away. For me, the very significant thing I've learned this evening has been Joshua telling us about the other plans he has for additional book launches. It's important simply because it shows you how far economics and finance at the University of Ghana has come. Many, many years ago, it was extremely difficult to find good material, both in economics and in finance at the University of Ghana, even in Ghana. Slowly, over the past 20 or so years, we've seen gradual improvements. So today, our students don't have to struggle. They don't have to struggle at all to find good reading material written by Ghanaians at the University of Ghana. So listening to Joshua talk about the plans he has fills me with a lot of pride and a lot of comfort about what the future holds. So Joshua, you and your colleagues, we thank you very, very much. Roberto said did a very good review of this book and showed us how the over 30 chapters written by teams 2, 3, 4. I think there was a 5, what do you call it, authors for a chapter. It's almost like something you see in the medical school, but it's in the medical school that you find articles with 12 authors and so on. But it's very comforting in the sense that it shows you the capacity building element of what you are doing, providing an opportunity for graduate students to work together with their professors and also with some of the practitioners in order to arrive at this. So we thank Robert for the review and the depth that he went to help us understand what was in there. I appreciate also the kind of relationship that has been developed between the business school and the banks that sponsor this. It's very important. Every time we talk about the need for academia and business to get together, in every capacity building review that I have done, that's always been the question of, so to what extent do you guys work with the banks, work with business? And very often we are blamed for not doing enough. I'm happy that through people like Joshua and his colleagues, we are slowly mending fences. We are slowly bridging that gap. It's my hope that in future, this will be a natural part, a natural thing that we do as universities working with others to ensure that research uptake is enhanced in Ghana. So I thank Joshua for this opportunity. Tell Charles that I appreciate what he and you have done. I look forward to many more of these book launches. I cannot guarantee that I will come, and if I come, I cannot guarantee that I'll pay 5,000 cedis for a book. You know, as you yourself know, I'm a retired professor. Talking about, let me just tell you one funny thing. You know, when you when you travel and you are filling the immigration form, they have this place, occupation. So I used to write retired professor. So I gave it to this immigration guy. He said, Prof, and he canceled the former VC. I mean, between former VC and retired professor, what's the difference? Then so I asked him, so a more do sing back. So anyway, so Frank, the only reason I gave 5,000 is to be a former VC, not a retired professor. On that note, thank you all very, very much for this evening.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Bakumu you do say back. Thank you so much, sir. We are so grateful for that. We miss this at convocations. We are so grateful. Well, I've been asked to convey a very important message. The Deputy CEO of Ghana Exim Bank, the HR says it's important that I say she's a proud former student of Prof. Abor. So that has to be said. So thank you so much for that. That shows the confidence in you, Prof. Yes, so we've come to the successful end, of a very fantastic event, and I'm grateful to chair. My name is Kobe Mensah. And the last items, I think last 2 items, there will be a photo opportunity, for the dignitaries. And then we have a reception and networking. So we're done. We're so grateful. Thank you once again for being here. And we would just take our leaves, but we would ask, please, the dignitaries to be, there's a, okay, yeah. So we have the dignitaries to take photo with the editors. Yeah, we just line up here. That would be great. Thank you. So we would then gather to network and then to have some reception, at the other end. Thank you so much once again for coming. We are so grateful, everyone. Thank you. So please, photo ops with the dignitaries. Hopefully, the bank reps that are here, please, if you can join the rest of the dignitaries to take the photo. Thank you. Yeah. Let's take it back.